This was the worst episode of Raw I've ever had the displeasure of watching. Raw was absolutely horrendous tonight. From start to finish, it was boring garbage and just a waste of our time. Jesus Christ, this was nonsense. It was so bad. I've never watched a more boring episode of Raw. This was so disrespectful. This was so bad. Not a single match was meaningful or even entertaining at the very least. Not a single promo was worth watching. And just skip the backstage segments in general. Those didn't even matter. Jesus Christ. And what bothered me the most was that I guess the bald fraud goof Triple H assumed that with Roman Reigns making his 65th return this year, that was supposed to save the show, magically make the show better, magically save this trash, this horrendous piece of garbage we got. I guess he thought Roman Reigns' return was supposed to save the show. It absolutely didn't. This is Roman Reigns' 65th return this year. Roman Reigns has had more returns than matches and promos. Like, let's think about that for a second. Roman Reigns has had more returns this year than promos he's cut, than matches he's had combined. Like, come on. People don't care. People don't care at this point. We're just wishing and hoping and praying for something good, and we can't even get that. But we're not even gonna waste too much time. We're just gonna jump right into this video. We're just gonna talk about this horrendous piece of trash we got this week, because I can't even call this a proper episode, because this was not a proper episode. This was garbage. Okay, this was so boring from start to finish. But anyhow, though, before we get into the video, let's talk about the quote of the day. We're changing things up a little bit today. Quote of the day: peace isn't always found in a mountaintop sunrise. Sometimes it hides in small moments, like a deep breath, a quiet prayer, or the sound of your own heartbeat reminding you you are still here. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. Isaiah chapter 26 verse 3. That is your quote of the day. Now let's get right into this video. So this episode of Raw, we kicked off with a Rhea Ripley and Io Sky in-ring promo. So Rhea Ripley basically came out first and she was defending Io Sky, saying that what the Kabuki Warriors did to Io Sky was absolutely unjustified. It crossed the line. Then Rhea Ripley went on to say, Kabuki Warriors, Asuka, Kairi, I thought Io Sky was supposed to be your family. What you did to her crossed the line. What you did to Io Sky absolutely crossed the line. And she told the Kabuki Warriors for some odd reason, she said, Kabuki Warriors, come get me. And I'm like, what? Whatever. Anyhow, after this, Io Sky ends up making her entrance. She comes out and she interrupts Rhea Ripley and she starts breaking down. And she tells Rhea Ripley that it breaks my heart to say this, but you were right about Asuka and Kairi Sane. But they're still my family and I still love them. And I was like, okay, somebody kicks my head off. I'm not still calling them family. I'm going to call them a few other words, and it does not rhyme with family whatsoever, okay? I don't know what you're talking about. They're still my family. They hit you with the meanest combos, back to back. You're talking about they're still my family, and I still love them. I'd have a few choice of words to call those people myself, and none of them rhyme with family, like I said. But anyhow, after this, Asuka ends up coming on the big screen. She tells Io Sky that it's up to you what happens next. I taught you everything you know. I paved the way for you, and now you act like none of that matters. You act like Rhea's your family now. I made you who you are. I made you a champion. Because of me, you're champion. But because I love you, I'll forgive you. All you have to do is apologize. But for Rhea Ripley, it's too late. The Kabuki Warriors ended up coming out and they ambushed both Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this segment overall, the whole entire segment from start to finish, was a bit hard to watch. Rhea Ripley's acting, I don't know. She's never been a character to be all emotional and sentimental, so that was off to me. And Io Sky's acting, it was a bit iffy. It made this promo segment overall in general just a bit lackluster and a bit just cringy. But anyhow, though, I don't really have much other complaints from this. After this, we got a match. It was our first match of the night. It was Rusev versus Dirty Dominic Mysterio for the United States Championship. And this was such a mid-match. Rusev and Dominic Mysterio literally could not and did not click in the ring. Like, from start to finish, this match, it just never picked up. It never got good. And I don't know why. Like, these two, their styles just contrasted and they just never clicked with each other. And the ending sucked so much. Dirty Dominic Mysterio ended up winning the match using a low blow on Rusev while the referee was distracted 3 times in a row. I'm like, come on. So with the match ending in a no blow finish with a goofy finish, this basically meant that this whole match, this whole 10 to 15 minute match was just a waste of our time. So like I said, Dominic Mysterio ended up picking up the win over Rusev using a low blow while the ref was distracted for the 3rd time, and that was the match. Dominic Mysterio retains his United States Championship. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't really hoping for Rusev to win because I don't know what they're doing with Rusev. He gets a bit of momentum and they completely snuff it out. So that's what they've been doing with him. So I wasn't even excited for this. I don't even know what was the point of this, honestly. But anyhow, after this, we got our second match of the night, and it was Bayley versus Raquel Rodriguez. And this match was so incredibly boring. This was so bad from start to finish. This match was slow, it was messy, and it was full of of botches. These two women, like, respectively on their own, they are valid competitors. They are good competitors. They are really good in the ring, but for some reason, this match just was so bad. This match was just so bad. And I have to say, Raquel Rodriguez has gotten better in the ring. You know, I'll give that credit. I'll give her credit where credit is due. And Bayley, you know, she's good in the ring. But like I said, this match, for whatever reason, it was just so bad. It was just so bad, so messy, so boring, full of so many botches. And the crowd was absolutely dead silent for 99% of this match. And you know, the crowd reflected how bad this match was. Like, they were dead silent for 99% of it. And the ending was so uncreative too, just the same nonsense we've been seeing for the past year. Raquel Rodriguez ended up picking the win due to a distraction and interference from Roxanne Perez. And I'm like, we've seen this countless times before. Nobody's even shocked at this point. But anyways, after the match, we got a silly, uneventful brawl involving Bayley, Raquel Rodriguez, Roxanne Perez, and Lyra Valkyria. All four of these women were brawling, not against each other, but it was Bayley and Lyra Valkyria brawling against Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. And that was that. Nobody cares. We're gonna move on, honestly. Like I said, this whole episode, it was so boring. It just made everything feel like a waste of time to me. I did not like it at all. This episode sucked. And I'm not going to let you forget it either. But anyhow, after this, we got a backstage promo segment from Jey Uso and Jim Uso. So Jim Uso is basically talking to Jey Uso, questioning him, like, why have you been moving the way you've been moving? Like, what's up with you, Uso? Like, what's going on? Like, talk to me. Like, why didn't you not want to help LA Knight last week? Why didn't you want to help me out last week or like 2 weeks ago? So he was just basically asking Jey Uso about that. And Jey Uso snapped on Big Jim. He told Big Jimmy that helping out LA Knight won't do anything for us. They don't give a damn about us around here. It's just me and you. We got to focus on each other. Helping other people won't do us any good. And Jey Uso went on to cross the line, in my opinion. He told Jim Uso that the only reason why you don't get it is because you've never been world heavyweight champion. That's why you don't understand. And I was like, oh, okay. I see where this is going. Jey Uso heel turn. I'm potentially kind of a tiny bit, maybe 1% interested in it. So I'm just waiting to see where this goes. But anyhow, after this, we got our third match of the night, and it was LA Knight versus Kofi Kingston for some reason. And I literally still can't tell you for what reason this was on my screen. I don't know why it happened, why it needed to happen, what was the point of it, and it wasn't even a good match at that either. This match, just like the previous ones, was also absolutely, extremely, unreasonably, unexplainably, incomprehensibly boring. Like, this match sucked. The crowd didn't care either. Like, this was probably one of the most quietest I've ever heard the crowd for an LA Knight match. Like, the crowd did not care. I didn't care. You didn't care. Nobody cared. But anyways, at the end of the match, LA Knight ended up hitting his BFT finisher on Kofi Kingston for the win, and that was that. LA Knight picked up a meaningless win over Kofi Kingston. This was for nothing, no stakes, no stipulations, nada, no nothing. So we're just gonna move on. After this, we got a backstage segment where Becky Lynch basically beat down Maxine Dupree. And nobody cares about this. I don't care. You don't care. We don't care. The crowd didn't care. The fans don't care. So we're just not going to talk about this pointless side quest. This filler side quest. We're just going to not talk about it. We're going to move on. And apparently this is going to turn into a match next week. I'm like, Jesus. This is what you're advertising for next week? And you think people are going to be like, oh, I can't miss this one. Come on, man. Let's move on. Anyhow, after this, we got a promo segment, an in-ring promo segment from Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. And this was absolutely garbage. This was even worse than last week, surprisingly enough, and I don't even know how they managed that, because the one last week was absolutely horrendous. So how do you top a horrendous one with an even worse one? I still can't believe it. I still don't understand. This was absolutely garbage. Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins weren't talking about anything. They were just wasting our valuable time, man. And I'm just going to give you the quickest rundown of what was said, and we're going to move on, because I refuse to waste any more of your time like WWE did. But anyway, Seth Rollins basically just said to Cody Rhodes that everything that happened between him and Cody Rhodes in the past is dead and gone. Seth Rollins is going to cleanse the timeline, and his vision will lead the future. And that's basically what Seth Rollins said. He said that he will be the one to be in control of the future, not Cody Rhodes. He's going to be the first quarterback. He's going to be in charge of everything. His vision is going to control the future, and not Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, however, did not say anything of substance, anything of value, anything of meaning, so we're just going to move on. And that was the whole segment. We're just going to move on. Cody didn't say anything. We're not going to talk about it at all. We're not going to waste any more time on this. Anyhow, after this, we got our fourth match of the night, I believe. It was AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus Los Americanos, and it was El Grande Americano with two other Americanos, so it's Los Americanos now. There's three Americanos. Yeah. So the other two Americanos, apparently their name are Bravo and Rayo, so yeah, that was that. Anyhow, we got the match, and we had El Grande Americano ringside. Before the match even started, though, AJ Styles ended up cutting a little promo segment, and he was basically saying that because of the fans, he now has a match at Crown Jewels, and he thanks the fans and says that because of you, I get to do what I love the most. I get to beat up John Cena, and if you know, you know. So he was basically saying that because of the fans, this match is possible. And I'm trying to understand why Triple H is doing this nonsense. He's trying to like sprinkle it in there, like they're still listening to the fans, and every time the fans get something they've been asking for, been writing about, they're like, oh, because of the fans, you got it. You people, you made it possible. You fans made it possible. Like, stop doing that nonsense. You know good and well they're just trying to make it seem like the WWE still listens to the fans. You guys don't. They don't. Stop doing that nonsense. I like this promo segment from AJ Styles, but I hate the hypocrisy from it. But anyhow, this was a decent match. It was semi-watchable. With that being said, though, only the last 5 minutes were watchable. The first half of the match was boring. It was so boring. It was so lackluster. But the last 5 minutes, though, it really picked up, and it really made the match a little bit watchable. But anyways, though, Team Dragon Style ended up picking up the win, and AJ Styles pinned one of the Americanos for the win. I don't know if it was Bravo or Rio, but one of them got pinned, and that was that. Anyways, after this, we finally moved on and we got to our main event. And the main event was the Usos versus the Bron Brons in a Tornado Tag Team match. And this was a Garbage Palooza rematch that nobody asked for. Absolutely nobody asked for this Garbage Palooza rematch. I don't know why it needed to happen. What was the point of it? Actually, I do know what the point of it. The point of it was for Roman Reigns to make his 65th return this year. That was the point of this Garbage Palooza rematch. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, we've seen this so many times before. I don't care. You don't care. We don't care. Nobody cares. Something new, please. Something fresh. You want Roman Reigns to come back and be feuding with the same people over and over and over and over again, and you think people are still gonna care? Of course the fans are gonna still be chanting OTC just because it's the OTC, but besides that, they don't care. Jesus. But anyhow, let's talk about the match. Even though we've seen the same setup, the same lineup before, this match itself was still a bit decent. It was still a tiny bit entertaining in my opinion, at least while it lasted. But like I said, the only reason why this match happened was so Roman Reigns could make his 65th return. And that was what happened. At the end of the match, Roman Reigns made his 65th return, the OTC came back, and he beat down the Bron Brons with a steel chair, and the Usos ended up picking the win over the Bron Brons. And the one thing I noticed was that Jimmy Uso does not seem to like this relationship between Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. He seems to be weary of it. He doesn't like that Jey Uso's falling back into Roman Reigns' trap. And Roman Reigns absolutely did not acknowledge Jimmy Uso. He did not look at Jimmy Uso at all. Neither did Jey Uso while Roman Reigns was out there. Jimmy Uso was just staring at them, like side-eyeing them. It's like, really? You're really doing this again? Like, what's the point of this? Like, that's how he was looking at him. And Jey Uso was basically repeating to Roman Reigns, if they don't trust me, stack them all, smash them all, you know, basically what Roman Reigns used to say. So, like, I don't know where this is going, but I guess I'm kind of interested a little bit. But anyhow, though, that was your whole show with the OTC making his return, and he was in the ring with the Usos basically celebrating the victory. And that was that. In this episode overall, I would rate it a solid 2 out of 10. There's nothing else much that needs to be said. I think I've said pretty much everything I needed to say. So we're just going to get the rating and that's it. It was a 2 out of 10. This was absolutely disrespectful. It was disgraceful and it was a waste of time, okay? 2 out of 10. This was so bad. This was horrendous, okay? But anyhow, though, that was my breakdown and my review of this week's episode of Raw. Thank you for showing up, thank you for hearing me out, and thank you for being here. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. Like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to. And like, comment, and subscribe if you choose to. As always, it's been a pleasure. I'm out.